I'm joined with me by my colleague Pramod Madhav. He has gone all the way from Chennai to Vellore to cover actor-turned-Neta Vijay's rally. Pramod, you were there at the spot. What is your sense of how Vijay's speech was today?
Well, Anaga, one thing is very certain. The need for security for Vijay's events is much more needed, because even today we saw a lot of crowd surrounding him and there was absolute chaos at one point because everybody wanted to just show hi to Vijay, and many people fell down as well. But this is something they need to take care of. And the important aspect here is that in this stage, Vijay very clearly said he wants to say, it looks like Vijay is a bit upset because the Chief Minister is not even talking about TVK. He simply says that the contest is between Tamil Nadu and Delhi, and it is about DMK fighting NDA and DMK fighting Delhi. And this is where Vijay wants to claim that that's not the truth. The truth is about the fight is between TVK and DMK, and he simply says that Stalin, sir, is talking in such manner which Vijay is not ready to accept, Anaga.
Well, Pramod, I have two questions for you. One, today was the first day when he directly said that the fight was going to be between himself versus Chief Minister Stalin. Talk to us a bit more about, what was the reason why he directly took Chief Minister Stalin's name, number one. And number two, since you were there on the ground, were the security protocol being followed? Because C.T. Nirmal Kumar made a statement saying that the permission was given literally at the last minute. So what was your sense of the SOP being followed at Vijay's event?
Well, one thing we should, the second question let me answer first. The first and foremost thing is that you cannot put the blame entirely on TVK or the administration, because the people are somebody, they also have to be more responsible, and unfortunately we didn't see them behaving responsibly today. Also, we have it on visuals, how they tried to go close to the vehicle of Vijay, and as the road was very narrow, some people even fell on the trenches that were on the side of the road. This, the people need to worry about. They need to be careful. It is a general caution. This is not the way people are supposed to behave in highways as well. And the second question is that Vijay constantly has been saying that the battle is between TMK and TVK, but today the things became a little serious, because here today he started with one Jallikattu bull story, and he tried to say that the Jallikattu bull is the Tamil Nadu and Vijay is one small boy. Even though tamed people could not tame the bull, he was the one who was able to actually tame it just by getting a solution that is required for the problem. That's a very important aspect. And again, once again, he targeted DMK over corruption, over bribery, and finally said that the fight is between DVK and DMK. And the important aspect is that he is still calling the Chief Minister as CM Sir, Anaga.
Right. I'm also joined with me by my colleague Apurva Jayachandran. Apurva, there was one interesting line that Vijay said today. He said that Tamil Nadu was a superstar state when it was Kamarajar's regime. That is when Congress was in power. He also said Tamil Nadu was a superstar state when Annadurai was in power. Now, since he's directly mentioned Kamarajar, do you perceive this as a pitch for Congress party? Why do you think Vijay would have made that statement appreciating Congress's regime in Tamil Nadu? What was the political motive?
Anaga, Vijay has gone ahead and he has talked about when Kamarajar was in power, when MGR was in power, and when several other leaders were in power, in which sense he essentially means to say that over the last, tenure, be it by the DMK or the AIADMK, there has been utter failure, and how both these Dravidian parties have failed the people of Tamil Nadu is what Vijay is going ahead and saying. In fact, he has gone ahead and very categorically stated that this fight, this elections, it is going to be a fight between the people of Tamil Nadu and DMK. That's what he is targeting at. Not only that, he's also gone on and very boldly made statements saying this is going to be an election between Vijay and Stalin, sir. That's what Vijay has gone ahead and stated. So bold statements that have come in there by TVK's chief Vijay. He's time and again stated that this is a fight. This is a fight that not is once every 5 years, but also one across 50 years. Is a unique fight that is going on, and that is why this is going to be a historical win for the TVK in the upcoming elections, is also what Vijay declares.
Right. I want to take one question from Bureau Chief Pramod Madhav. Pramod, since you've gone all the way over there, I want to ask you one particular statement that Vijay made. Time and again, Vijay has been facing, flack for not having enough experience when it comes to politics. So today he has indirectly, by narrating that story that you just mentioned, he has made it very, very clear that seniority and experience does not really matter in politics, but what really matters is the problem-solving ability of a person. What do you make of that story that Vijay said? And, what's your whole sense of Vijay's lack of experience in politics?
Well, Anaga, one thing is very certain. We can actually divide today's Vijay speech into three parts. The first one is about the Jallikattu story, where he was trying to talk about how a small, inexperienced young boy was able to tame an angry bull just by feeding it instead of trying to fight it. But at the same time, the second part was about the fight between TVK and DMK. He says he still wants to negate. Earlier, he was negating AIADMK off the picture, but he now wants to completely negate NDA off the picture. So this seems to be a kind of like a playbook. Vijay wants to make sure that even though the Chief Minister says that this is a fight between DMK and Delhi or DMK and NDA, he still wants to maintain it as TVK and NDA. But the bigger part here is that he also said that his opponents are trying to spew kind of fake news and, mudslinging. That is something he has also spoken about. And this is something, it looks like, related after the recent Trisha issue, because this is the first time he's talking about this particular matter. So this way, he has categorically spoken on all matters. However, he wants to make it very sure, even though DMK or AIADMK is not, these parties are not minding about TVK, Vijay wants to make sure that the fight, he is in the fight, and his enemy is DMK, even though DMK is not ready to openly recognize that, Anaga.
Apurva, today, if you take a look at Vijay's overall speech today, there was only mainly mention of Chief Minister Stalin and DMK. Like Pramod was mentioning, Vijay has, deliberately left out BJP in his speech and even AIADMK in his speech. What is your political reading of that? Is he still trying to project that the election fight is only going to be between DMK and TVK? Why, in your view, did he leave out BJP and the AIADMK?
Anaga, let's make one thing clear. Vijay does not see AIADMK or the BJP as his competitor. That's what, is the stance that Vijay is trying to prove here. Time and again, we have seen him very categorically saying DMK is, his ideological, his political enemy is DMK. Meanwhile, it is the BJP, which is his ideological enemy, is what Vijay has been saying time and again. And it proves in his speeches as well. He's never mentioned about AIADMK. He's never mentioned about BJP, because what essentially Vijay wants to say is that it is in fact a waste of his time to even mention these two parties, is the kind of assumption that Vijay wants to bring in, because he's already declared that BJP is his ideological enemy. So why even speak on these people is what is Vijay's comments there. And that's the sentiment that you can also see that is being echoed by him constantly on the ground. He has only been targeting, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and the DMK Supremo there, M.K. Stalin. Yes, he does call him Stalin sir, and he poses all of his questions directly to Stalin sir, and that's what he says, Stalin Ayya, Stalin sir, now ungalkaga kelvi kekren. That's the kind of question that Vijay wants to go ahead and pose. And it looks like Vijay wants to make this forum, this fight for Tamil Nadu elections to be between only the TVK and, the DMK, and that's the fight that is also declared today as well. Interesting, in Vellore, he has gone ahead and said that this fight, this elections, it's not going to be about any other political party, but rather, in fact, it is going to be the fight between DMK and TVK and the people of Tamil Nadu, and it is going to be a fight between Stalin versus Vijay. Anaga.
Well, in fact, a lot of eyebrows are also raising about where Vijay is really going to contest this time in Tamil Nadu. In fact, Adhav Arjuna has also passed a resolution in their internal party meeting, mooting a resolution that Vijay must contest from northern Chennai, particularly somewhere near Perambur, directly squaring off against Chief Minister Stalin, who is an MLA from Kulatur, also in northern Chennai. So very interesting times ahead, since Vijay also says that this election is directly going to between Stalin versus Vijay. Is he trying to imply that even when it comes to constituency, they would be squaring off in the same region? So that's going to be a very interesting point to watch out for in the upcoming elections. That's all about TVK segment. Now, there, it is a very big day when it comes to DMK as well. I'm reporting right now from inside the DMK office. In fact, the DMK has formally kicked off the seat sharing talks with its alliance partners. Yesterday, it was the IUML, which is the Muslim outfit that held seat sharing talks with DMK. But apart from that, we also had Congress's KC Venugopal, accompanied by TS DOC, who met with Chief Minister Stalin at his residence, and we believe they held a 45-minute discussion about the seat sharing talks. In fact, the DMK has also made it very, very clear to Congress that they're not really happy with the way Girish Chudankar dealt with the DMK starting, because they are saying when Girish Chudankar came, he straight up started the alliance talks with 40 seats, which was too high a number. So therefore, we do not appreciate the tone and temper of Girish Chudankar, and therefore, we do not want to deal with him directly. It's the sort of messaging that DMK has insisted to Congress, and that's why yesterday there was an icebreaker meeting of sorts between the DMK and the Congress. However, the meeting still remained inconclusive. In about a week or so's time, our sources tell us that the final number of seats will be sealed between Congress. Now, another important point to note is that it's not just Congress this time that is bargaining for higher number of seats. There is also MDMK, MMK, Makkal Needhi Mayam, and a new entrant along with MNM is the Temutika party, that is the DMDK. So the DMK does have a lot to fight this time. All of the alliance partners of DMK are now asking for higher number of seats. Last time, DMK had contested in 173 assembly seats. So this time, since all the alliance partners are playing a hard game, demanding for a higher number of seats, there would likely be a situation where DMK would have to cut down on its own seat share in order to fulfill the demands of those demanding alliance partners. Today, there was another Muslim outfit, MMK, that held a meeting with the DMK's election committee, where the outfit had demanded for 5 seats this time. Likewise, MDMK also held a seat sharing talk today, where they've also demanded for a higher seat share. Apart from that, they've also asked for a Rajya Sabha seat. So a lot of demanding allies this time for DMK. But in the year 2021, it was not so hard for the DMK. But this time around, we don't know whether it is because of the effect that Vijay has. All the alliance parties of DMK are now demanding for a higher seat share. So certainly there could be a situation where DMK would have to cut down on its own seat share to fulfill the demands of alliance partners. Let's listen in to some of those political voices that's coming in about this whole seat sharing talk that's happening with DMK.
In the last assembly elections in 2021, Manidaneyya Makkal Katchi contested in 2 seats and won both the seats in Papanasam and Manapare. We have asked that at least 5 seats should be given to Manidaneyya Makkal Katchi. This is not the end of the talks. There is going to be another round of talks. The DMK team assured that they will inform the Honorable CM and DMK President all the requisitions we had made during the talks. We hope that something fruitful will emerge soon.
Sir, last time you had contested in 6 seats and you had won in 4 seats. This time, is there a demand for higher number of seat demands?
Yes, we have given our submissions. They will consider it.
Double digits, sir, or what is the demand?
That will be known to you only after final.
Rajya Sabha seat.
Yes, we have demanded.
Today you had a meeting with KC Venugopal. Was there an icebreaker with Congress?
No, it is just a courtesy meeting and they met the CM. CM doesn't discuss it.
I'm joined by my colleague Pramod Madhav. Pramod, you were there in the in the year 2021 when the assembly elections were happening in Tamil Nadu. This time, do you think the demands of alliance partners of DMK is a lot more shriller and higher as compared to 2021? How many seats do you think DMK would be able to contest this time? In the year 2021, DMK contested in 173 seats. This time, what is your sense? Would DMK have to cut down on its own seat share to satisfy the demands of these alliance partners?
Anaga, one thing is very certain, like when it comes to negotiations and such, this is a crucial period for the election, and there is always two things. Just like you said, I've been there in 2021, 2016 as well, and before that too. And what we've seen on the ground is that there is an upper current and there is an undercurrent. But the one thing is certain, DMK has the upper hand for now, because even after Vijay constantly calling for alliances, be it Congress, be it VCK, be it CPM, be it CPM, everything, nobody went over there. CPI or CPM, nobody went over there. And even for now, until now, MDMK is also not interested to go to that spot, which means that they still want to be in the DMK alliance, which means there is some effective necessary behind it. And the important aspect is that they met with IUML, they met with MMK, but the important aspect is that while the DMK is supposed to call the parties for negotiation, KC Venugopal, who was in Chennai last week, he came here yesterday in a hurried manner. He met the Chief Minister. It went for almost 30 minutes. We've been told that only Kanimori and CM Stalin were present at that point, and we've been told that it was considered as only an icebreaker. Imagine even before the election, the negotiations could begin. What is the need for an icebreaker between two parties which has a long-standing relationship? That is question number one. And the question number two about Congress, even before, like I want to say that it's that earlier, before all this, Manikam Tagore, who was asking for power sharing, his everyday tweets was about Achamille, Achamille, Achamembadile, which means no fear, no fear, no fear at all. But today morning, his tweet reads, "We must accept finite disappointment, but we never lose infinite hope." These are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. And this seems to be a kind of a subtle statement or message, not sure, because Manikam Tagore says that he just publishes whatever comes in his mind. But the stand seems to be definitely softened over there. So it very clearly shows that DMK has the upper hand. How is it going to accommodate DMDK and MNM is a different story, but very clearly for MNM already one Rajya Sabha seat has been given. So we are not exactly sure if MNM is going to be greedy. But DMDK story, we need to wait and watch, Anaga.
Interesting times ahead, because all the alliance partners of DMK are now demanding for a higher seat share. In just about a few weeks, all the seat sharing would be decided, post which we'll really get to know if the DMK ends up cutting out its own share of the pie in order to satisfy the demands of their alliance partners. Moving on, we have another story, the same DMK-bound story. The Deputy Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has lashed out at Home Minister Amit Shah and the BJP. In fact, Udayanidhi Stalin has made a statement saying that just like how Home Minister Amit Shah was seen painting the walls of Karaikal with saffron, the people of Tamil Nadu will smear black paint on the faces of BJP, is what Udayanidhi Stalin has said. In fact, he has also taken a dig at leader of opposition Edappadi Palaniswamy by saying that he is nothing but a slave of the saffron party. EPS is a slave of BJP, is what Udayanidhi said. Let's listen in to what the Deputy Chief Minister had to say about BJP and Amit Shah.
இந்தியாவிலே ஒரு இயக்கத்தை எப்படியாவது மிரட்டினா உருட்டலான்னு இடி சிபிஐ இப்படி பல்வேறு அமைப்புகளை வச்சு மிரட்டிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் நம்முடைய தலைவர் அவர்கள் நேற்று மதுரையில தெளிவா ஒரு பதில் சொன்னாங்க. என்ன வழக்கு தானே போடுவீங்க? திமுக உடன்பிறப்புகள் பார்க்காத வழக்குகளா? மொழி போர்ல ராணுவத்தையே எதிர்த்து நின்ற இயக்கம் திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம். மிசாவை பார்த்த இயக்கம் திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம். நம்முடைய தலைவர் அவர்கள் உயிரே போனாலும் எங்களுடைய சுயமரியாதையை நாங்க என்னைக்கு விட்டு கொடுக்க மாட்டோம். தமிழ்நாட்டுடைய உரிமைகளை என்னைக்கு விட்டு கொடுக்க மாட்டோம். அதனாலதான் அடிக்கடி நான் சொல்வேன், நாங்க ஈடிக்கும் பயப்பட மாட்டோம், மோடிக்கும் பயப்பட மாட்டோம். மோடி இல்ல, மோடியோட டாடி வந்தாலும் நாங்க ஃபேஸ் பண்ண தயாராக இருக்கின்றோம்.
You've seen the comments made by Udayanidhi Stalin. He's mocked Prime Minister Modi. He says slaves and people, Adimaigal as well as those fascists, do not have a movement here in Tamil Nadu. What do you have to say?
No, first of all, I strongly condemn the words of Udayanidhi. He don't have any moral responsibility to talk on our Honorable Prime Minister. He is telling even Honorable Modi ji's daddy comes also, we won't be afraid. But he has become the Deputy Chief Minister because of his daddy and because of his daddy's daddy. So he's a dynast. Because of his dynastic politics, he has evolved. But the Honorable Prime Minister is not like that. From a humble beginning, he has risen himself to a Chief Minister and a Prime Minister. And the Udayanidhi Stalin or the Chief Minister cannot get the votes talking their welfare schemes on developmental activities. So they are always deviating the issue so that they're boasting themselves challenging themselves. So he's a very junior person in politics. He cannot challenge our honorable Prime Minister. It shows his ignorance. That's all I can say.
I'm joined by my colleague Apurva Jayachandran. Apurva, the Deputy Chief Minister, says that it's not just Modi. Even if his daddy comes, we will not fear the BJP and Prime Minister Modi. Well, it's election, and as we inch closer to the dates, these barbs just get more sarcastic and funnier. What do you make of the speech, the kind of lashing out that Udaynidhi made at BJP and Prime Minister Modi, and what was BJP's response to that, like just we heard from Tamil side?
Well, in fact, Anaga, if you do see, it's just going to be an entire talk and discussion that is going on the who's who of daddies here in Tamil Nadu, and that's what we're also seeing here. Udaynidhi Stalin talks about Prime Minister Modi and makes a crass comment saying not only Prime Minister Modi, even if his daddy comes, it's not going to change. On the other side, you see Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan, the BJP's leader, going ahead and saying Udaynidhi came to power because of whom? His daddy, and because of who was in power before his daddy's daddy. Karunanidhi is what Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan is going ahead and saying. You are seeing, these kind of words that are making into the foray right now in Tamil Nadu politics, and these kind of comments that is being made by both the DMK and the BJP. Looks like these kind of talks are only likely going to continue. The brickbats are going to happen. But essentially, the DMK making a strong statement saying there is no allowance for the BJP to enter into Tamil Nadu. While, you see this BJP's leader there, Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan, who's spoken with us, she has also told that, it's Modi ji who has been time and again working inconsistently. He has been working consistently for the people, be it he was a chaiwala, from being a chaiwala to the Prime Minister of the nation. Look at how he has evolved, and what is the rank and merits of Udaynidhi Stalin is what Tamilisai Soundararajan is going ahead and taking. In fact, these comments made by Udaynidhi has not gone down well with the AIADMK and the BJP's NDA alliance here. Several of the political leaders have also called out Udaynidhi Stalin on his comments that have been made criticizing Prime Minister Modi as well as criticizing AIADMK Supremo Edappadi K. Palaniswamy.
Thank you. That was all from the poll-bound Tamil Nadu. Now, for all stories that's making headlines from the state of Karnataka, moving on to my colleague Sajay Raj.
Thank you, Anaga. From Bowlon state of Karnataka to power tussle state of Karnataka. Amid leadership tussle in Karnataka, Social Welfare Minister S.C. Mahadevappa has called on the Congress High Command to elevate a Dalit leader as the next Chief Minister, saying the community deserves a chance to lead the state. He underlined that Dalits from a significant population in Karnataka and have gone long the backbone of the Congress. Clarifying that Siddaramaiah will continue in office for now, Mahadevappa stressed there should be no confusion about giving a Dalit leader the opportunity in the future. Notably, the minister is considered a loyalist of the Chief Minister and hails from Mysuru district, which is Siddaramaiah's home turf. Interestingly, Siddaramaiah himself recently tweeted that in the Congress party, a Dalit can become CM based on merit, a remark that has added fuel to the political chatter. Another Dalit CM contender and Karnataka Minister G. Parmeshwar appeared uneasy with the demand, alleging that the BJP was behind the so-called CM Nataka. He maintained that governance in the state remains smooth and dismissed speculation of any internal rift. Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar took a sarcastic swipe at Mahadevappa, offering him a big namaskara and remarking that he too is a part of the party's top brass. Here are the reactions of the story.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ನಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯರಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ ಸೂಕ್ತವಾದಂಥ ದಲಿತ ನಾಯಕರನ್ನು ಒಂದಿನ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೂರಿಸಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲರ ಆಸೆ. ಮತ್ತು ದಲಿತರು ಗಣನೀಯ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸದಾ ಅವರು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬೆನ್ನೆಲುಬಾಗಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಲಿತರು ವೋಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರ ನಾಯಕರು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇದ್ದು ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳು ನಡೆಯುವಾಗ ದಲಿತರು ಒಂದು ಸಾರಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ನ ಒಂದು ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯರು ಅವರಿರೋ ತನಕ ಅವರೇ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ. ನಂತರ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ ದಲಿತರನ್ನ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಗೊಂದಲ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು.
ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೀಡ್ರು, ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೀಡ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದನೇ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೀಡ್ರು, ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೀಡ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದನೇ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದವರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಇದನ್ನ ಮುಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಈ ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಕೂಗು, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡಳಿತ ನಡೀತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳ ಆಡಳಿತ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಇಡೀ ಒಂದು 10-12 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಬಡ್ಜೆಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿವಿಧ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆಡಳಿತ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ತರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದವರೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಹೇಳೋದು ದಲಿತರಿಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ಸಿಎಂ ಆಗೋದು
ಹೌದಲ್ಲ? ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷನೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಅದು ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಅವರು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸಂದರ್ಭ.
Karnataka's Kolar district has sparked a major political controversy after Congress MLA Kottur Manjunath allegedly threatened action against a newly inaugurated private helicopter manufacturing unit. The facility, recently unveiled by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, is now at the center of a power supply row. The MLA, reportedly upset over not being properly informed about the inauguration, warned the electricity to the unit could be cut if a separate feeder line isn't created. In a brazen threat on camera, Congress MLA claimed that farmers can take their tractors and hit the electricity poles to destroy them and disrupt the power supply to the plant. The Congress MLA added that this will force the production unit to create their own feeder line. Meanwhile, opposition leaders have called it anti-industry politics, accusing the Congress MLA of intimidating investors.
ಇವತ್ತು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಲಿಕಾಪ್ಟರ್ದು ಒಂದು ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನಾಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಡೆಯಿತು. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಶಿಕಲಾ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಏನಂತಮ್ಮ ನನಗೇನೋ ಮೇಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೋ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಾನು ಬರ್ಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೂ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಆವಡಿ ಜಾತ್ರೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಬಂದು ಖುದ್ದಾಗಿ ಕರೆದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮೇಲ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ ಸಂತೋಷ, ಮೇಲ್ ಹಾಕಿರೋದು ಈಗ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ಮೈಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೇಲ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್, ಅದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅದು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ನಾವು ಯಾರು ಹೋಗೋದು. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡೋದಂದ್ರೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಸರಿ ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನಗರಸಭೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಒಂದು ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಕೈ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ನಾವು ಬರ್ಬೋದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ನಮ್ದು ಇವತ್ತು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಾವು ವೇಮಗಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, ಅದನ್ನ ಫೀಡರ್ಸ್
ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಚೋದನೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಗಳು ಇವತ್ತು ಶಾಸಕರು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಬಹುಶಃ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಶಾಸಕ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಶೋಭೆ ತರಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಕೈಗಾರಿಕೆ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದಾದಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಶಾಸಕ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಬೆಂಬಲವನ್ನು ನೀಡಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೊದಲು ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯಗಳು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನವರೇನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಸಮಗ್ರ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೋಲಾರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಏನೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಐತಿಹಾಸಿಕವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕೈಗಾರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಬಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ
Karnataka school management opposed total mobile ban, seek SOP-based regulation. A memorandum has been submitted to Chief Minister Siddaramaiah on balanced mobile policy for the students. Associated managements call for student internet pack with education-only access during school hours. Demand for Aadhaar-based age verification for online gaming and social media. Proposal to restrict smartphones use for the children below 10 in public spaces. Here are the reactions on the story.
it should not be just banning, because it is already in place, the regulations that schools should not entertain mobile phones to be bought in, and it has been strict guidelines. But we need a separate SOP wherein it should accountable the parents and the different stakeholders, that is social media platforms, online games, or other entities wherein they are directly actually it is a lot of issues with respect to child's behavior. Parents are unable to control them. All these aspects has to be well defined, derived, and SOP should come out so that one can regulate this.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ವೈಸ್ ಚಾನ್ಸಲರ್ಗಳು ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಯುವಕರು ಈ ಡ್ರಗ್ಸ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಲಿಯಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಯುವಕರು ಬಲಿಯಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅನೇಕ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯುರೋಪ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾನ್.
That's all from Karnataka. Let us go to neighbouring state Telangana, where my colleague Abdul Bashir will bring the latest from the state.
District. A horrific bus accident has taken place in Shampur village of Puttur Mandal in Adilabad district. Now, this bus, the TGS RTC bus that was traveling from Adilabad towards Asifabad, fell into a dry canal. Now, 33 passengers were traveling at the time when this particular accident has taken place in this particular bus, among which 25 have suffered injuries. Now, immediately these 25 were shifted to Uttur Government Hospital, and 8 have been said to have sustained critical injuries who have been shifted to the RIMS hospital. Now, the exact cause of this accident is not known yet, but the agricultural laborers who were traveling from that particular route had witnessed this bus falling into the canal, who immediately alerted the officials, and police reached the spot and rescued the injured from this particular bus. Now, the condition, the health condition of these 8 members who are critically injured is yet to be known, and exact cause of this particular accident is to be known. Well, the police have registered a case against in this particular accident, and investigation into the matter is underway as to what exactly has caused this particular tragic accident, a horrific accident in Adilabad district. That is all we have from the state of Telangana. Over to my colleague Shibi, who will bring news from the neighbouring state Kerala. Over to you, Shibi.
Thank you, Abdul. Well, in Kerala, controversies erupted after an audio has emerged in which a CPM MLA can be heard threatening the revenue officials over their anti-encroachment drive that started in Munnar in Kerala. The Devikulam MLA A. Raja can be heard speaking to Special Tahsildar C.V. Gayatri, in which he says that if the officials do not behave properly, their hands and legs will be broken. So this is a threat that has been issued to her, and he also tells her that there are officials who are taking bribe to stop constructions, and these officials should be identified, and you should inform them that if this continues, then I will take action. I will go to that extent, is what he says. She asked for the names of these revenue officials, but the MLA does not give a proper reply. What we're understanding is the call was triggered by the eviction procedures that has started near the Munnar guest house. The MLA can be saying that the officers are intimidating the landowners, and if this continues, then he will not speak in the lines in which he has spoken so far. Now, the officials had earlier issued a stop memo to the constructions that's taking place, but there was no stoppage to the constructions, and it was when the constructions continued on holidays was when the officials started taking action and started issuing demolition notices, is what we are understanding. But the audio has surfaced, and he says that he was just speaking for the people who were in distress. This anti-encroachment drive had affected some common people, and the officials were involved in bribe. The criticism is that if there was bribe involved, he should have approached the vigilance and filed a complaint rather than issuing a threat to the officers in charge.
ഇന്നലെ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം
അതെ, നിങ്ങൾ വഴിക്ക് ഒരു മാസത്തോളം ഈ പ്രദേശത്ത് ഉയർന്നിട്ടുള്ള കെട്ടിടങ്ങളോ അതൊന്നും നിങ്ങൾ നോക്കിയിട്ടില്ലല്ലോ.
ഇല്ല ഒരു സെലക്ട് എനിക്കിവിടെ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ എനിക്ക് ആരുമായിട്ട് യാതൊരു അടുപ്പവും ഇല്ല. എനിക്ക് അറിയാന്നുള്ള പരിചയമുള്ള ആരും തന്നെ ഇല്ല. എനിക്ക് യാതൊരു രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടിയുടെയും ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് യാതൊരു മമതയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വിരോധമോ ഒന്നും വെച്ച് പുലർത്തുന്ന ആളുമല്ല. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒഫീഷ്യൽ ലൈഫിൽ ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒരു രാഷ്ട്രീയവും ഞാൻ ഇതുവരെ കാണിച്ചിട്ടില്ല.
നിങ്ങളല്ല ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത് രാഷ്ട്രീയം എന്ന് ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത് നിങ്ങളുടെ കീഴിലെ ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാരായിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ.
അത് അവരാര് കറങ്ങി നടന്നാലും ആര് പറഞ്ഞാലും അത് ജെനുവിനാണോ നോക്കിയിട്ട് മാത്രമേ
അവരോട് പറഞ്ഞേക്കണം. മര്യാദയ്ക്ക് നല്ല കയ്യും കാലം തന്നെ പിടിക്കും. ഉള്ള കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞേക്കാം. നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്റ്റാഫുകളോട് നടരാജൻ അടക്കമുള്ള ആളുകളോട് ചേട്ടാ, ഇതുവരെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞ മാന്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഭാഷയിലാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ആ മാന്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഭാഷ കേൾക്കാൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ അവർക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിൽ
എന്റെ അറിവില് അവരാരും തന്നെ ഞാൻ വരാതെ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തും വന്ന് അവര് കേസുകൾ വന്ന് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടായിരിക്കും. അല്ലാതെ
ഞാനല്ല പറയുന്നത്, ഉത്തരവാദിത്തപ്പെട്ട ആളാ പറയുന്നത്. ഞാനാ പറയുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ഉത്തരവാദിത്തപ്പെട്ട ആളല്ലേ?
അതെ,
ഞാൻ പറയട്ടെ, കാശ് കൊടുത്ത ആള് പറയട്ടെ. കാശ് കൊടുത്തെന്ന് സമ്മതിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അപ്പൊ തന്നെ ജോലി പിരിച്ചുവിടുവോ?
പിരിച്ചുവിടാൻ എനിക്ക് അധികാരമല്ല. എനിക്ക് ഞാൻ മുകളിലോട്ട് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാനേ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ.
Well, that's all we have from the Kerala segment. Over to my colleague Anaga.
Well, thank you so much, Shivi. Apart from all the political news that's brewing in the southern states of India, we also have a happy news that's coming in. Two South superstars, Rashmika Mandanna and Vijay Devarkonda, are going to be tying the knot in Udaipur on February 26th. In fact, what we are learning is that the star couple, Rashmika Mandanna and Vijay Devarkonda, have already landed at the Udaipur airport ahead of their intimate 3-day wedding ceremony that's going to be held in the city of Lakes, Udaipur. What we're also learning is that Rashmika and Vijay, popularly known as the Virosh couple, are going to get married at ITC Mementos in Udaipur. As per sources, the venue has been tightly secured. No one is allowed beyond the common road, which is approximately 1.5 to 2 kilometers away from the main hotel. As India Today had earlier reported, a special global team has also been assigned by the couple, which along with the Rajasthan security will handle the security of the venue. So all preparations are underway for Rashmika and Vijay Devarkonda's most anticipated grand wedding that's going to happen on February 26th. So that's all from the South segment. Keep watching India Today every day from 1 p.m.